Why you shouldn't fear death. A Buddhist perspective. Have you ever wondered why death terrifies us so deeply? Not just as a concept, but as a quiet fear that follows us through life. Unspoken, avoided, yet always present. What if death is not the enemy? What if it's not the end, but simply another chapter in a vast and beautiful story? The Buddha once said, "All conditioned things are impermanent." Yet we live in a world that fears death, hides from it, and rarely talks about it. We see death as a loss, a tragedy, something dark and unknown. But from the perspective of Buddhist wisdom, death is not something to resist. It is something to understand. From the moment we are born, we begin moving toward death. This is not morbid, it is truth. Like the setting sun, like autumn leaves falling gently to the earth, death is simply part of life's natural rhythm. In Buddhism, death is not viewed as an end, but a transition, a continuation of the great flow of existence. We fear death because we cling to the illusion of permanence. But just as the seasons change and rivers never remain the same, so too do we flow from one state of being to another. When we accept impermanence, we release fear. We begin to see death not as something to dread, but as a sacred teacher guiding us to live more fully, more mindfully, more awake.
The illusion of self, and why it makes us fear death. At the heart of our fear of death lies one powerful illusion, the belief in a permanent self. We're afraid of dying because we believe we are this body, this mind, this personality. We spend our lives building an identity, shaped by our memories, achievements, relationships, and desires. And so the idea of losing it all feels unbearable. But the Buddha taught anatta, the truth of non-self. What we call me is not fixed. It's a temporary collection of thoughts, emotions, habits, and physical processes. Our bodies are constantly changing. The cells that made up our skin, our brain, our heart 10 years ago are not the same ones today. Our thoughts shift moment by moment. Even our desires evolve with time. So, if everything we associate with the self is in constant flux, then what exactly are we clinging to? This is the heart of the Buddhist path, not to deny existence, but to see it clearly. When we let go of the illusion of a solid, permanent self, we also let go of the fear of losing it. Because if there is no fixed me to protect, there's nothing to be destroyed. The self is like a flame, dancing, shifting, alive, but never quite the same from one moment to the next. And just as a flame can pass from one candle to another, the energy of our being continues, shaped by our karma, long after the body fades. This perspective doesn't diminish the beauty of life, it deepens it. Because when we stop clinging, we start living. When we release the fear of death, we open our hearts to this moment, fully present, fully grateful. Death isn't the destruction of who we are. It's the dissolution of who we thought we were, and in that, there is freedom. Impermanence, the truth that sets us free. Everything in life is in motion. Flowers bloom and wither. Rivers flow but never remain the same. The seasons shift from spring to winter without hesitation. Nothing stays. Nothing lasts. This is the teaching of anicca, impermanence. And while it may seem unsettling at first, it is also deeply liberating. We suffer because we resist change. We cling to youth, fearing old age. We grasp at success, fearing failure. We hold on to our loved ones, fearing they'll leave us. But the Buddha taught that clinging is the root of suffering. The tighter we hold on to what is constantly moving, the more pain we create for ourselves. Death, too, is part of this ever-changing dance. It is not a punishment or a mistake. It is nature unfolding as it always has. Once we accept impermanence, we stop fighting the current of life. We no longer try to freeze what is fluid. We begin to trust the flow. And in that trust, peace arises. Instead of fearing the end, we begin to embrace the moment. Each breath becomes more precious. Each encounter becomes sacred. Life, in all its fragility, becomes more beautiful. Not because it lasts forever, but because it doesn't. When we stop demanding permanence from a world built on change, we soften. We let go. We begin to live not with resistance, but with reverence. The Buddha didn't promise us eternity. He promised us clarity. He showed us that by seeing things as they truly are, impermanent, empty of self, we could be free. Not from death, but from the fear of it. Impermanence is not something to dread. It's something to bow to. It reminds us that nothing is ever truly ours. And yet, everything is a gift. Karma and rebirth. Death is only a doorway. If death is not the end, then what lies beyond? According to the Buddha, death is not a final curtain, but a doorway. A transition shaped by one powerful force, karma. Just as a farmer reaps what they sow, our actions, words, and thoughts leave imprints that carry beyond this lifetime. In Buddhism, your consciousness does not vanish when the body dies. It continues, guided by the energy you have cultivated in this life. The Buddha compared it to changing robes. When the current set is worn and torn, we discard it and put on new ones. Similarly, when our body can no longer serve us, we release it and move into another form of existence, shaped entirely by the seeds we've planted. This is not about reward or punishment. It is simply cause and effect. If we live with greed, hatred, and ignorance, we create a karmic stream that leads to confusion and suffering in the next life. But if we live with kindness, wisdom, and mindfulness, we build momentum for peace, clarity, and spiritual growth, even after death. Rather than fearing what happens after we die, Buddhism encourages us to focus on how we live now. Because each moment, each decision, is a seed. And when death comes, we cannot bargain or negotiate. We simply reap what we've sown. This truth isn't meant to frighten, it is meant to empower. You are the author of your karma. You are shaping your future with every thought, every intention, every act of compassion or carelessness. So do not wait until the end to awaken. Live now as if your next breath depended on it, because in a very real way, it does. Death will come, yes. But when it does, let it find you at peace, not afraid. Let it find you ready. Letting go of attachment, the path to inner freedom. Much of our fear of death doesn't come from death itself. It comes from attachment. We fear losing our loved ones, our status, our memories, our possessions. We fear that everything we've built, our relationships, our successes, our identity, will vanish when we die. And in many ways, they will. But the Buddha taught that clinging to what is impermanent is the root of suffering. Everything we cherish, no matter how precious, is subject to change, decay, and loss. The more tightly we hold on, the more pain we create when life inevitably asks us to let go. But what if we practiced non-attachment not as indifference, but as deep presence? What if we learned to love without clinging, to enjoy life without needing it to last forever? Letting go does not mean we stop caring.
It means we stop grasping. It means we learn to hold the people and moments in our lives with open hands, not closed fists. We honor them fully, but we don't try to make them permanent. Imagine living this way: loving someone without fear of losing them, appreciating a moment without trying to capture it, walking through life without dragging the weight of expectations behind you. This is freedom. And when death comes, we are no longer terrified, because we've already practiced the art of release. We've already loosened the grip on what we cannot keep. The Buddha did not say, "Do not love." He said, "Do not cling." In letting go, we make space for peace. We discover that our true home was never in what we possessed, but in the awareness that sees, feels, and lets go with grace. When we release attachment, we do not lose, we awaken. Embracing death through mindfulness. Living fully, letting go freely. What if death wasn't something to fear, but something to prepare for with love, presence, and peace? In Buddhist practice, monks and practitioners often meditate on death, not out of morbidity, but out of deep wisdom. By contemplating death regularly, they strip away illusion. They stop pretending that life is endless and instead begin to truly live. Every breath becomes a miracle. Every moment becomes a gift. Mindfulness trains the heart to be steady even in the face of impermanence. When we observe our thoughts without clinging, when we witness emotions without being consumed, we cultivate the very strength needed to face death, not as an enemy, but as a part of the sacred unfolding of existence. Instead of denying death, we look it in the eye with compassion. We realize that its presence gives life meaning. It reminds us not to waste time on resentment, comparison, or superficial pursuits. It urges us to love more deeply, to speak more kindly, to release what no longer serves. Death becomes not a thief but a teacher. And when our final moment arrives, we will not beg for more time. We will smile, knowing we have lived away. The Buddha himself met death with serenity. He taught that the enlightened do not grieve the end, because they understand there was never a true beginning or end. Only change, continuity, and liberation. So let death inspire you, not to fear but to awaken, to love fiercely, to live honestly, to walk gently and with purpose. Because when we accept death, we no longer just exist, we truly live. And in that mindful, fearless living, we find not only peace, but freedom. Death as a spiritual teacher, let the fear awaken you. What if the very thing we fear most, death, is also the greatest teacher we will ever encounter? The Buddha taught that true wisdom is not found in avoiding suffering, but in understanding it. In the same way, true peace is not found in denying death, but in meeting it with open eyes and a steady heart. Death, when approached with awareness, can strip away everything that is false and reveal what is real. Think about it. When you truly understand that your time is limited, how can you continue to waste it on anger, gossip, or shallow distractions? Suddenly, the small things lose their grip. The grudge you've held for years feels pointless. The chase for status or perfection becomes hollow. What matters most becomes clear: compassion, presence, love, truth. In this way, death becomes the mirror that reflects our deepest values. Instead of running from it, we can ask, what would I do differently if I knew my days were numbered? Who would I forgive? What would I let go of? How would I choose to live, really live? This is not about being morbid. It is about being awake, about honoring the gift of life by understanding its fragility. The great masters did not fear death.
They prepared for it every day by living with clarity, by letting go, by returning to the present moment again and again. We can follow their path. We can allow death to soften us, not harden us. We can let it open our hearts, not close them. When death is no longer our enemy, life becomes our ally, and in that shift, fear fades. Not because death disappears, but because we are no longer afraid to live fully.
The final teaching. To live is to let go. In the end, the deepest lesson that death offers us is this: nothing was ever truly ours to begin with. Not this body, not our possessions, not even the people we love. Everything we hold, everything we cherish, is passing through our hands like water through open fingers. And yet, the beauty of life lies not in how tightly we grasp, but in how fully we receive, and how gracefully we release. The Buddha taught us to live with presence, not possession. To meet life with open eyes and an open heart, not to hold it forever, but to honor it while it is here. Death reminds us of this truth with piercing clarity, that this moment is all we truly have. So, breathe into it. Let it wash over you. Let the noise fall away and return to the stillness inside you. Because when you stop fearing the end, you begin to truly live. You live with intention. You speak with purpose. You love without condition. And you walk through this world not seeking to control it, but to understand it. When death is no longer a shadow in your mind, life becomes radiant. Every sunrise is sacred. Every goodbye is meaningful. Every breath is a miracle. The wise do not seek to escape death. They learn from it. They prepare not with dread, but with dignity. And when the time comes, they leave not in fear, but in freedom. So, let death awaken you. Let it peel away what doesn't matter. Let it show you how precious your time is. And when your final breath arrives, may it find you at peace, knowing you lived with clarity, with courage, and above all, with love. Because in the end, it's not about escaping death. It's about embracing life.
If this wisdom resonated with you, please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for more Buddhist teachings and life insights. Until next time, may you walk the path of wisdom and peace.